Right everyone, WeaponCollector here. Right, this is part 4 of the How to Make a Carbine Crossbow series. And in this part we'll finish off the trigger block and start the stock. So what you're going to need now is the 6 bolts for the trigger block to be held together. So that's 2 for the trigger and the roller nut, and then 4 for the sort of sides, the corners. And some kind of tubing. I'm going to use a bit of crossbow bolt because it's a perfect bit for the spacers. You can use washers, you could use anything that will fit between there that can go in between, not on the outside of the nuts. So mark the holes. You'll see on the designs the holes are there. So we're going to do the 4 holes, and then at the same time, once you've done those, do the 2 mounting holes as well in the middle, but you'll see as we go along. So there's the outer ones for the spacers, and then I've done the other 2. So do that on one side, and then to make sure you get the holes right, a little trick I always do is do it on one side, put both parts together, and then mark it, and then you'll know then that the holes are the same. If you get them wrong, if they're not quite right, which one of mine wasn't, you can always just file that one slightly bigger so it meets the other one, you know. But yeah, that's the easiest way to do those 6 holes, to mark them. So then drill those out wherever you want. You know, you punch them out. I punched them out with a nail punch. So now we're going to do the little stop for the roller nut. This will be on the designs as well, and it's at the bottom of that groove, if you know what I mean. You'll see what I mean in a minute. It's a bit hard to explain, but it's at the bottom part of the roller nut, and it's to stop the roller nut keep continuously spinning. And you need it so that the roller nut can go back to its locking position, slightly more than that. But you'll see what I mean. So the roller nut will go slightly back further than it needs to, which is just about right. So yeah, it's just about there. So it doesn't quite go upright, and it will come slightly back further than horizontal when it's back. So make that hole on one side, then the other side, and then I'm just going to use a nail temporarily for now. So cut the nail to fit. You can see there now it's going to stop it spinning. If your nut won't rotate fully, take a file and file it down a bit. So now we're going to do the four spacers, and you want it to be, I did mine, the thickness of the nut plus the thickness of one of the sides. So the thickness of the nut and plus maybe 2 mil. So cut those and then bolt them in. Put the bolts in. We'll leave the bolt heads like this for now. Yeah. If the roller nut won't spin, file that bit down a bit, and if the nail keeps coming out, just put a bit of tape on it for now. But yeah, that is basically that part done. Now we're going to do the trigger. So what you want now is to do 2 little bits of aluminium or whatever, you know, the tubing either side of the trigger to keep it in the middle. So there's those, and then after that, in a minute, we'll do the spring to hold the to pull the trigger upwards. This is the kind of spring I'm using. You could use elastic if you wanted to. You could use other springs. I'm just going to wire that on and thread it over one of the top spacers. If it's not strong enough, we can always add another one later, but it seems good for now. And I'm going to try and add a safety later, but I've got to see whether it'll fit first. But yeah, that's it basically. That's the trigger block done. And you can see there, rolling up spins. That's in the cocking position, and when you bring it back, it cocks. Yeah, that's pretty much done. You know, there's always alteration we can do later if need be. Later on we'll file down the ends of those bolts a little bit. And I don't know if I said, if that nail keeps falling out, just tape the end of the head for now to stop it coming out. So we're going to start working on the stock now, but you can see there the trigger block pretty much identical to the plans, fits in good. If you've got a piece of wood big enough for the stock, cut it all out in one, but I've got to do it in a couple of bits. So if you're doing it in a couple of bits like me, you'll see. But what you want to do now is cut out the two sections, because it's two pieces of the stock. So although you can see one, that's double layered up there, it'll be double layered up. So cut out the whole design of the stock there. Like I said, I'm going to have to do it in two. Just imagine mine has a handle. I'm going to have to add mine later, so you can follow the instructions for that. But pretend that's got a handle on it. So you've got the two bits now, two parts of the stock, and then there would be the handle. And then what we're going to do now is start cutting into it to fit the trigger block. So I've marked the trigger block where it should be. That'll be on the plans. And then we're going to cut in a rectangle shape till it's about, I don't know, there'll be about 4 or 5 mil left on the sides, if you know what I mean. You'll see there what I mean. The trigger block will stick out a bit further than it should at the minute because of the ends of the bolts. So this is about as deep as you need to go. You could go slightly deeper. I may still need to be able to go deeper than that. Again, it's going to stick up proud at the minute. So what I did, just for now, I stuck the stock in a vise and I squeezed it slightly. Don't do it too much in case you break it. Just to mark where those nuts are, the heads of the bolts. And then I've got a countersinking bit and drilled some holes, some grooves to hold the nut heads in, just to test it. And then once that fits good, we can start working on other parts. But this is as far as I got for today. So I just thought I'd put it on just so you could see. So there's the nut. This is where the bolts would go. You see them slide in, the string would be behind there, and you can also see the aluminium rails there that we'll use later. So yeah, that's it for now. The next parts will be possibly making those holes slightly bigger, making the parts for the middle of the crossbow there, because there's a gap at the minute, but we couldn't do that until we knew what thickness we'd need. I will be fitting my handle and doing the rails as well. You'll be doing the rails with me, and then a couple of bits like that. Then we'll start doing the prod. So yeah, now that's the end of that part. Next part's coming soon. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. See you later. Before you leave, if you ever wanted to support this channel, you can now via Patreon or by shopping at Amazon.com and Gearbest. There's more info below if you need that. Remember, if you want to get full notifications for this channel, click the bell, and I'll see you later. Cheers.